Flash episode 15 out of time. After I finished this episode, I was walking around, I was like getting my camera and all that stuff, and I was just like, just eyes wide open like a deer caught in headlights, thinking about this ending that they gave us, and you know, the stuff we got to see, first off, learning the stuff about what happened with Barry's mom and exactly how that stuff went down, and we found out that in this storyline, it isn't that the Reverse Flash, who is, we found out, Eobard Thawne, who is, I believe he's like a great grandson or whatever of Eddie. Um, he went back in time. It wasn't to kill Barry's mother and to kind of stop him from being the Flash, but it was to kill Flash. And we still have to get like the specifics on that, and maybe it was just the fact that they were like super effing fast or whatever. They just kind of like Barry in the end of this episode. It was unintentional, and maybe they were in a fight and it just went boom, and they randomly got shot. Back in time. It was even faster than what Barry was doing in this episode, and it sent them back 15 years, and we find out that Dr. Wells, was actually trapped there ever since that happened. He was there. He'd been there the entire time, and I don't know. I guess when he first appeared, it was to challenge Barry. It was like, to really push his limits and see how fast can he go. What is he gonna do? And it was just an unbelievable episode. Like it seemed, you know, like they were kind of holding it off, and I was like, man, I don't want them to do this again, because kind of like in the other episode where a big thing was them talking about time travel and stuff. Nothing happened in that episode really. That was a side story, and technically it was in this one too. And I was really upset about that until the very end, because it did at least have a really big payoff, and it was just crazy. Like I didn't know what the heck to expect and where they would possibly be going with that. I was just like my eyes and mouth were just wide open during the scene with I still have to call him Wells because that's just what I'm so used to. But with Dr. Wells and Cisco, I was just like, this can't possibly end the way I'm thinking, because what is his explanation going to be? Where could he possibly go beyond this point? Like, what could he possibly say? And the worst thing is that I don't know if it's even bad or not, because technically with this happening, Cisco is still alive, which is fantastic, because I was like, they killed off Cisco, what's gonna happen? And then they had the stuff at the end with Iris and Barry, and then she finds out that he's Flash, and it was like, they kind of kill off Cisco, and then she kind of joins in the group to sort of take his place in a sense. And it was just like, holy crap, this is like an unbelievable episode. And it still is. Like, even though technically everything in this episode never happened, it's just an unbelievable episode. And it was amazing to watch. And even though the stuff that happened in the timeline is now, destroyed, and we won't see some of the stuff happen, we might still see certain things happen. But obviously, like what Barry said with Weather Wizard not coming back, and like Snart coming back with the Rogues, he was surprised by that in the phone call, and it could have still been a couple days after, and he just was surprised in general. Like, this guy's freaking back a third time, because of course they got arrested the last time. So it could be that it's alternate timeline, and that's, it happened way faster than it was supposed to, or it could just be the simple fact that they escaped, and obviously the last time they heard anything about them, they were in a truck going to prison. So it could be one of two things. But the information that we got, and like Dr. Wells going to Cisco and killing him was like an insane scene, and then Barry and Iris talking to each other, and like now Barry's gonna know this secret. Of course he doesn't know the secret about Dr. Wells, and something's gonna happen. I don't know, like they have to, like something's going to happen, and probably what the case will be is that Barry won't have the time to kind of leave Cisco alone. That won't be a thing anymore, because he'll know. And I think he went back, I believe it was the very beginning of this episode, so they didn't even have any of the conversations about the stuff with Iris or anything like that. And all of that could change around where he never ends up talking to her about it, because he already knows. And it's like, he just avoids certain situations, and he knows this info, but he doesn't have to go back to certain people. Like Iris's, I guess he's his boss, her boss slash partner. Him having this random incriminating evidence against Dr. Wells, which I feel like is still going to be very important because he didn't say it like, oh, I just happen to have this. He has to have something, at least, saying this could possibly be him or something like that. I don't know. But that I feel like is a line that they put in that won't change despite this alternate timeline that we're going to get throughout the rest of the series. And I'm just incredibly excited to see how things change. And it's, like I said, it's kind of unfortunate because I would have loved to have seen where they went after he basically just reveals himself. Like, I don't know what Cisco could have really found out if he, going back through the thing, which was also amazing because I'm sure the last thing he expected was for, like, this image of the Reverse Flash to just pop up. So that was cool. And then just the way they did it, and, Dr. Wells was behind him and stuff, and Cisco was like crying and stuff, and it was a very well acted scene. I love that scene. It was acted well and just incredibly suspenseful. Like when he put his hand up and he started shaking, it was just like, what the heck? Like he's gonna kill him right here. And even though it's been altered, there's gonna be some hint of that, and Cisco kind of having these ideas, and it won't be pushed to the point that it is right now, or that it was in this episode. But I can't wait to see how they do this and how really how Dr. Wells takes the news that Barry did travel back in time. That is the news that he's been looking for. That's, as he said, like the Flash and the Flash's speed is the key to getting Eobard Thawne back to where he belongs. And, I can't wait to see how he takes this information. Like, he obviously won't just, like, go crazy and be like, try to steal his power or anything. But he's gonna learn that this information. He's gonna learn that he's out there. That Barry, this Barry, I guess, was pushed to this point, and I feel like they're gonna kind of have to explain how things worked with Barry and how he ended up becoming the past Barry. Because obviously we saw it, and they could, that's just a timeline thing. You could be the first one, but I guess technically he never was because he saw his future self the first time. So I don't know, but this alternate timeline, Barry has at least one pertinent bit of information, and that's the information about him and Iris. And then everything else is gonna kind of be changed based on the fact that he knows exactly what's gonna happen with the weather wizard, and he's gonna be like, all right, he's here or there. He could just easily ask Joe, like, where do you think he would be, and then he'll just go there himself, and that's exactly where the guy will be, and he'll take him down. But I thought this was an amazing episode. It was a crazy what if scenario at like the last minute, but all of it I think was definitely well done. Obviously, insanely surprising. I didn't expect the Cisco stuff, the Iris stuff. If they could have done it and it was permanent without Cisco dying, it would have been like the best episode ever, and like just something happening. I don't know, but if Iris knew and Cisco survived, that's obviously the ultimate happy ending. But we'll have to see how Barry handles this alternate timeline now that he's been able to go back. And heck, him running around the city making like the giant wall of wind, also very amazing to see because that was something that he didn't know, and it was just really cool to watch that. So I loved that, even though it ultimately ended where he went back in time and he didn't have to actually defend everyone and save everyone's life. Ultimately, it was still something that we got to see, and obviously he experienced it, so it still happened. He went to that level of speed. He knows where his level is. Like, he knows where his cap is now to kind of cut it off. Otherwise, he could just end up, back in, the Old West or something crazy like that. So, I can't wait to see what they do with these next couple episodes. I know they're going to be really cool. We're going to get to see the Rogues come back again. With a new member, we're going to have Snart's sister in it, who used to be in the Tomorrow People, so it was awesome when I saw her in there, because I love the Tomorrow People. I wish that was still on. But, it's like they have two people from the Tomorrow People in The Flash now, so that's going to be cool. We're going to have Mark Hamill come back and reprise his role. I believe is the Jester is the character's name, and he played that character in the old Flash show, so I'm excited for that. And they have the stuff with Barry really controlling going back in time. So we're going to have, like, this next couple of weeks are going to be pretty cool as far as villains and even the overarching story goes. I'm incredibly excited to see how they, have Barry take on the information, even though it's like the little bit that he knows. But obviously we know so much more, so I'm really excited to see how he takes the info that he knows and applies that to this new timeline, and how we get to see the other things that happened alternate, because obviously odds are Joe isn't going to be kidnapped anymore. um, Barry won't have to save the entire city with the wall of air. Cisco, of course, won't get killed off or anything like that. So, we have certain things that Barry knows that we know, and we'll have to see how everything kind of changes now that he's gone back in time, and now that Dr. Wells knows he has this ability. He's like, that much closer to being able to go forward in time and get back to where he belongs. So it was definitely a great episode, even though it ultimately ended up being sort of a what if. Definitely an unbelievable episode. I loved it. Of course, I want to know what you guys thought, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And now that we have Barry officially going back in time, we got our first true instance of Barry time traveling. What do you want to see out of this alternate storyline, really come to light? Because we obviously have Cisco not dying. That's, I think a lot of people would agree, that's pretty great. But as far as other storylines and things like that, what do you guys want to see? Because I definitely want to see what Dr. Wells does, because he said it, that's the key. That's what he wants, is for Barry to have his speed so high that he can time travel, so that he can use it and get back to the future. So that's what I'm most excited for, but obviously I want to know what you guys think, so please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.